And we're back. Welcome once again to Hambage's Hardcore Vanilla Minecraft. And much sooner than I personally expected IRL, I'm back for yet another video. As I said, I'm kind of eagerly awaiting a little bit of outdoor time, but peeking out and checking in with some friends. Found it's still pretty overcast, and there was. Still quite a chill to the air. It was, pushing 40, and they're still, it's still supposed to get pretty nice, but not exactly just go out and enjoy it. So, kind of hoping for afternoon fun, and agreed to kind of check back in a little while. So, another quick play session here, and I am thrilled to have you guys here with it. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We'll get the world back up. It's time to get going. Minecraft made by Jeb. I don't know between Notch and Jeb how all that plays out. One time or another, I knew more of the details. But regardless, we not having seen hours go by, I am still. Oh, why are there so many monsters around? We just went to bed, and I guess we weren't that far away. Our boat is way over past all those monsters. All right, now at least the melty ones will have melted. There's a doggy. There's a skelly. Go get him. Go get him. You get him, Salty. Get him. Good work, buddy. We're going to grab those arrows, too. Nothing else followed us back, did it? Okay. Oh, 2 more arrows to the stack. It always helps. And, yeah, let's just on our way back out get our bamboo trimmed here, and then we'll go see if we can't unbury this treasure and play on from there. All right, so 13 pieces is pretty nice. Let's just knock those back a little bit and kind of make a... I think we'll, when we get maybe 2 more there, then we'll kick it around, or maybe one more, and so we can have an edge. I'd forgotten that we have this little hole here. Whatever, we're getting distracted. Come on, Salty, we got adventure stuff. What do we do with our boat, though? We're not gonna get far adventuring without a boat. We'd gone through here. Didn't I leave it, or did I break it and then put it away? I know it. Things may not be starting well if I even put arrows away and didn't even bother to look and not so much look as see the boat in that chest. That's where it should be if I did pull it and put it in the chest. No. Where is the boat? Boat? Who knows? Let's go birch this time. Yeah, we lost the boat. I'm not saying it was your fault, but if you chewed on the boat, I know how you like sticks, Salty. Alright. A little bit of a bumpy start, but hey, we were trimming bamboo. That was important. And it's already growing back up. That's just how exponentially you can find yourself with a whole bunch of bamboo. Now, let's get our shield out of the way. We're so far away. Oh, not too terribly. We have a pretty big dot. Obviously, we want to go south and a little bit west. Um, we're already by and large heading the right way. But we'll keep going here. I'm gonna maybe it's some of these islands, but I kind of guess we have to go around to really get back. While we're just boating here, I'm gonna lift the mic and take another little sip of my coffee that I just refreshed. So 1 second. Ah, that's nice. The first cup gets a little cool, and then you go to the second. And as I've said before, I usually, in the morning we'll do 2 cups of coffee, and I have insulated, kind of the traveler type mugs that are the stainless steel, and I use a little. Oh, that is the island. This is awesome. We're already here. Good job. So it's kind of amazing. Anyway, I didn't expect this. I thought we were gonna have more of a time suck on this adventure, but not at all. We're in good shape. So yeah, I use just a little drip brewer thing where it's kind of like the top of an automated coffee maker. You just put the filter and the grounds in this little plastic funnel-looking thing that sits on top of the mug, and you can make your coffee, and then when you're done, you can wash it and store it away easily and ready for next time. So here's our spot. Let's, as usual, refill our lungs. Now what this will probably, it's kind of like the game told us as much by giving us a Respiration 1 helmet that it was going to be deep. And we, of course, put that away in our secret treasure chest, not even anywhere accessible, but I think we can manage. We're capable adventurers. Man, I hope the starting slide is gone and that you guys are actually seeing stuff. These are the things I now have to worry about after, it's kind of one of those, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, that's, the other way, right? Don't try to be witty when you're trying to manage it. What am I? Oh, I was. That's what I was. Don't die while you're doing this. But okay, I got panicky and had to check the OBS to make sure that I didn't have a slide still in front of the screen or anything like that. You can see why. These are reasonable and right things to be concerned about. It's for your guys' sake. I want you guys to be able to enjoy. So, well, I hope you are. Definitely ratcheting up the enjoyment factor in this new world for me this time. So now I wanted to just make sure that we come out far enough here to get the last of our map filled in. That is one of the kind of drawbacks of the maps. It's not. I still think they're awesome, as you guys have seen from the the few that I've actually been able to hang. I think they're cool. They look cool on the walls. Just a nice addition to the game. A little bit of extra depth. So big fan. But it would be cool if there was some way that when you've got a map on a underwater temple or something, like a guardian temple or any of those kinds of features, that it would account for that and show them a little bit better. I think that would be a nice thing. But it's a map, right? Most maps, water's blue, and that's kind of the way you do it. It's a convention that we all buy into, but I don't know. I just there's a lot of things that when you really, if you really thought about it, would maybe take some of the fun out of it. So I don't know. But that worked out really well. Didn't take us over long to accomplish, and it gave us a good result. So let's put some of these goodies away. We don't even have that much just random stuff to put in the random chest. I guess the dynamite needs to go in. We got some more food here that we'll store away. Our treasure supplies are going up. Now we haven't yet made any kind of armor. Since we're equipped for the enchanting, I'm almost tempted. Honestly, I've forgotten that on our last boat trip. When we go ranging, I should really just start offing cows when we see them. It's not my typical inclination, but if we could just add a bunch of early leather, we could get those bookcases, and that's a lot of cows. But we've got a few around here somewhere. I thought we'd had moose and chatted with cows a few times, but maybe not. I don't know. We're kind of. I'm trying to prepare a little bit to ratchet into a bit of build mode. I'd like to get that going, but we're going to have limitations of tools, and that's what I'm considering. 48 iron is a lot, especially when it comes to shovels. But it's we're still just converting over, and we haven't gone that deep yet in mining. 12 at a time. That's only 4 sets of picks, and if we're not replacing those, we're gonna pretty quickly run into a shortage. But here's, I think we got enough to kind of acknowledge. Now, I think that these walls are going to want to be fairly thick. We want them broad and substantial, and we can use that a little bit to our advantage. We can, accommodate some stuff inside, but in the overhang, and in some places, it may just be an outer wall, but typically when you look at fortifications, whether they're coastal or inland, from that, again, we're kind of looking at the, ooh, don't forget about those. That's gravel. That's not gonna help. We need, if we've got andesite, let's try to be consistent. Maybe just enough. But again, they. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Come on, yeah, come up the other way. I think the door's open for you. Nope, here, we'll let you out. I'm sorry. I don't even have any steak to give him. But that was awful. It was like playing spleef on my dog and then just laughing as he tumbled. Poor guy. So I'm thinking, kind of this breadth of a wall, and we do kind of run it right along here. And again, we're thinking sandstone. So we'd run across here with some kind of a gated entry exit point, and then out to here. We can do a little bit of fill and leveling to make our fields and our animal enclosures and that kind of stuff. And then from this side, our fortification could, kind of maybe a battery or a tower type area around here. This may be a water kind of sally port entrance, because we definitely enjoy it, and that's where our villagers would be out to. But something here, maybe keep this on the outside, but run a wall, something else out here that would be another wall, and then a reach that would, I'm thinking, block off this water. So it would just be, maybe an exterior dock quay kind of area, but otherwise not an entrance to my home. And then a tower or something here. And then, like we said, maybe this would be a water gate for boats and would cut back across. And, we've got bamboo and stuff growing outside a little, what would, kind of be a safe harbor type area inside our fortifications here, where we could, make a boathouse and all that kind of stuff, store our stuff. Maybe another entrance there, but yeah, just, a couple scattered low towers. Maybe we make a higher tower than outside or inside that would, be more commanding view type stuff. But yeah, fairly broad walls and would give us enough space inside to make a home. Small, not palatial or anything, but a nice home, some nice workshops and that kind of stuff up on ground level. So hope that kind of helps give a little bit of visualization of what we're trying to do. In the meantime, as I mentioned, we want to kind of make this a multi-pronged effort. We we want to start building that up, and maybe starting here just so that we have a little bit of security through the nights, and don't have we can scamper in and be safe down here in our bed, or if we're at the right kind of time, just jump into bed here. But kind of get this corner secure first, and then build up over time to fill in as our tools and our resources improve. Hope that works for everybody around. Now, to do that, we need plenty, and we're kind of out of, at least for a moment, we're going to be out of adventuring mode and into largely rock digging mode. I think our next big push is to see if we can go down a little ways in our staircase here and maybe get some more pockets of coal and iron, get a little bit more depth, and we don't want to forgo, and the quicker we get to diamonds and stuff, the better. Yeah, you are going to be totally in the way, pain in the butt dog. Yeah, there we go. There's some coal. As we go, this is not the best project for pets. If we stop, we'll maybe take him back up and just sit him down up by the bed in the chest up there, because otherwise he'll be running in and out of the space that we're clearing and blocking us from getting to the stone and stuff. So it's worth having them around. That's real life dogs too. They often will insert themselves into something that you're working on. I remember kids can certainly relate, if kids still do, a lot of board game stuff. But man, I remember as a kid, you'd be sprawled out on the floor, maybe Monopoly or another board game that had lots of pieces. Everybody's got their little personal bank all spread out wherever. The best part of Monopoly, let's all admit it, you're a kid, you're just figuring out about money, and you get all those colorful bills, and you just arrange them so perfect, and between every roll of the dice, and there was always that whether it was you or one of your friends or your siblings or your cousins or whatever, whoever was playing with you, come on dog, get up here, we're fixing this. There's that one kid, it's your turn, hang on, wait, and they had to wait while either they're counting or just straightening the stack of all their money, so that it's all ready to go. And then they, roll their turn and complain that they had to go to jail or something and get all upset. It was the animals that you'd be all set, and then just right through the middle of it, maybe your parents let them in from the outdoors or whatever, they come busting in, and all the pieces get launched. Everything, houses and hotels go flying. So I think we can, but we love them all the more for it. It's them wanting to be involved with you and what you're doing, and especially when you're down on their level, animals just love that. And they, as I've talked about a number of times, one of the most key and underlooked features of dogs in particular is that they're constantly observing us. We are, as their own whatever. I think the PC kind of trendy terminology. Oh, you can't say that you're an owner of a dog. Yeah, you can. They're dogs. You're not violating their rights, and you do own them legally. That's the deal. It's not an equation to slavery or anything like that. But as they look at you as their owners or their alphas, they're watching you constantly for cues and indications, and the particularly with larger dogs, which is my preference. When you get down on hands or knees, or will kind of tussle with them and play with them. You got to do it right. You got to be aware and let them know that it's still always a game, and they're not allowed to exhibit dominance in the course of it. But if you watch dogs just at play with other dogs, that's what they do, and they have a complex negotiation of dogs can fight too. You don't just throw your dogs out and be like, oh yeah, they're fine. Look at how much fun they're having. Is your German Shepherd is just terrorizing a Cocker Spaniel or something, right? That's not cool. As a pet owner, you have responsibility. You can't just set them loose and just it'll all be fine. But for the most part, if 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 their humans aren't around, because they'll feed off your emotion. As I said, they're observing you, but if they're left to their own devices, the doggy daycare places and stuff where they're aside from some separation anxiety when they get left, and particularly if you have a rescue dog, one that's spent any time in a shelter and gone through that, don't think that they won't have a reaction or a possible challenge of going through being bordered or kennelled, because think back, and we oftentimes like that. Dogs don't exhibit a memory that they've got this cognizance that they will revert back to and show that, oh yeah, I know you put up a Christmas tree. That means we're going to get presents in 5 days, whatever. They don't show that, but don't think that they don't have impressions and their own life experiences. Anytime you see a reaction of an animal that sees someone who's familiar, but has been long absent, and again, we talked about the Rover went from Vermont to Arkansas to meet the family that had moved away after they thought he was lost and gone. Those kinds of stories, equally appealing in the news on slow cycles, is those iconic images of a returning soldier, right? Been on deployment, going away, and certainly the kids and the families. Those stories are tops, but almost more universal is the appetite for that sight of a still young, because they love to hype the youthfulness of soldiers, but a young person returning from home, and the dog that even less than children can understand why that person would have gone away. seeing them, get out of a car, come up the driveway, or come up to the front door, and the sight of a dog just going bonkers as that person returns, so iconic. And there's a reason. It pulls at all our heartstrings, and it makes everybody undeniably happy because that dog, without knowing it, still knew that person who, presumably in those shots is their the person that they bonded to. Even family pet dogs usually will have a person in specific that they're bonded to. That, above all others, they're that person's dog, and it's the one that, as they're curling up at night, they'll go down, and oftentimes, young couples will have a pet before they decide to have children. It's a good step for any adult before you just race into having a human to care for. Make sure that that a pet is a good margin of error to make sure, hey, sometimes they get sick and you gotta deal with them in the middle of the night. Sometimes you gotta clean up after them. You get that over that squeamishness of a little bit of poop or pee every once in a while. That stuff is definitely a preparation for being adult about those kind of things. And so a lot of times, young married couples will, even when they're dating or something, it's kind of one of those signs of getting more serious. And particularly, a generation or two earlier, when it still wasn't entirely cool. Nowadays it's almost accepted that most couples will, in some form or fashion, live together before they get married. There's just not even an inkling of shock around that. It's noteworthy when people talk about abstaining from premarital sex, not because it's a new concept or shattering, but because it's become a almost a bigger conscious decision because it's so widespread. And when I was growing up, that was still largely open for debate. And while there were certainly a lot of families that didn't care a whole lot, among conservative families, and I'm sure that there's still more conservative families that still would firmly say that you need to wait until you're married to do any of that kind of stuff. But it's a lot less so nowadays. And as far as I know, even among people that are waiting to actually have sex until they're married, the living together part, because that's such a consideration. For all I know, again, I've kind of aged out of that, right? My perception may be a lot more skewed too, because at this point, dating of my contemporaries, dating and all that kind of stuff. Look, everybody's lived a lot of life, unless you're kind of creepily robbing the cradle, so to speak. And I'm not meaning that in any abusive kind of way, but if sometimes the midlife crisis amongst a 40-year-old or something will manifest in, oh look, I met this 27-year-old, and all the friends kind of roll their eyes, and it's like, oh yeah, how much of this is just getting back at your ex, and how much of this is making you feel good about yourself that you still can. So, I'm not out of hand at denying it. People can certainly feel a connection that goes beyond years, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of, it's fair to say that a lot of people will look on that and just, the first reaction is going to kind of be, who are they trying to fool? That kind of stuff. And, it gets the same chuckle, I hope, that I do there. But, man, how did we get here exactly? Oh, pets. Yeah. So a lot of times young couples would and will, it would almost be an indication, either from a man or a woman to, uh-oh, their spouse or a future spouse potentially. Gosh, I don't want to die to you, and I'm not equipped to deal with you, Mr. Little Witch. Um, I've got some arrows. If I can trap you in water, you'll be slow. Maybe I can run back around, get a bow, and get you from a distance. How long is that arm, buddy? There you go. Now you keep coming this way. You don't go get me. All right. Now we're gonna go end around back here. You stay stuck in the water. Listen to how many he's throwing. That's crazy. Oh, this doesn't exactly help me. Come on. He's got to do it too. Unless he pathfinds back across the short water. I was initially worried about the creeper that was over there, but this is bow. Arrows. Alright, sucker. This is exactly why I was happy to have that bow and why I hang on to arrows. Because these guys are nasty. We'd seen it once before. We got real lucky. I think it was in that second world. Hey, we got some glow dust. Where there was one outside on the plane outside the door in the morning, and we went out, killed it. Yay, that was pretty easy. And then the second one got us with some slow and that beefy poison, and it very nearly went bad. So, in wake of recent events, we're gonna give them a lot of caution, as I just exhibited. Do our best to keep this world going. So, what were we talking about? Dogs, pets, dogs, or any kind of pet given as a gift between a boyfriend and girlfriend, or man and woman, or hey, whatever works. These days, if that's between men or women or whatever, it's a pretty good indication that, hey, I'm giving you this as an indication that I'm thinking about how a life with you would be viewed, and you should, one, consider that before you just stop in a pet store and think, hey, I'll really impress little Susie before the high school dance by getting her a puppy because they're on sale, that kind of stuff. One, never do that. Never assume that someone wants to take the responsibility. I firmly believe that that any kind of pet should be, that person's decision. They gotta want it. Just like, ideally having a kid. Sometimes kids come as surprises, and that can be the most wonderful thing for parents. But by and large, pet or people, don't just assume that you know better than they do what's right for them. If you have access to, if you have or know of friends or something like that who have just had a litter of puppies, and they're looking for good homes for them without having to just put them up for adoption or something like that, that's certainly something to have a conversation about. Hey, would you be interested in this? But never the Christmas gift. Oh, look, it's the adorable little white lab puppy that I got you because it's so cute, and you love cute little things. So, oh, look, you can cuddle with it. Well, that's a lifetime commitment. So please don't just do that as an unexpected present unless it's been so clearly discussed. And even then, I would still never present someone with an animal like that. Whenever possible, even if somebody says, I really want to get a dog, I'm looking forward to it when the circumstances are right, anything like that, or if you know of any, even if they're looking for help, try whenever possible to give them the opportunity to go meet the animal and see if they're bonding with it before they start. Particularly if, I think we've all probably seen those little, I don't know how much, but, Humane Society and things driven will often do an adoption fair where they'll intentionally group a whole bunch of puppies together in a little playpen type area, and you can go in and meet all the puppies, and yeah, you're gonna fall in love and probably want to take one or more home. But more importantly, it gives them a chance, especially if it's a dumb friends league or something like that, they get the opportunity to observe you interacting with the animals, and they can make a judgment that yes, this is a person who is exhibiting signs that they want to care for an animal. The last thing that rescue operations want to do is put an animal in a potentially abusive or even worse, adopt out animals to people who are then going to either try to resell them or, in the ultimate cringe, try to exploit them, in like a dog fighting scenario or something like that. So they'll be very careful, and so it's a two-way deal. But for the prospective pet owner, it's awesome because you'll see the personalities of the various animals on display, and the ones that are naturally timid maybe need a lot more loving and would be really good for someone who wants is maybe less mobile but really wants an affectionate lap type dog that is going to be companion and constantly close. Someone if you go in and see the litter, and there's a couple that are the most assertive and the most showing boldness, right? They're the ones who'll come right up to you and try to play, or take the toys from the others and that kind of stuff. They're going to be more independent potentially, and more the ones that if you're looking for an active companion, you want the dog that's going to give you a reason to go to the park and throw a frisbee, or chase a ball, take camping, and just kind of that. You want one maybe that will be receptive to learning how to swim, or if it's the right breed, those kind of things. You can get an early indication of their personalities just by having a chance to interact. And much more importantly, even amongst those personality types, some dogs will, you'll just feel it in the moment. This is the one, they look at you right, they respond, and they won't react to all people the same way, just like we won't react to all dogs the same way. So, tangent into to pet adoption stuff there, but when you're considering it, please, make sure that the person whose dog it will be gets that full opportunity to bond, and it's going to be the lifetime usually of the animal, but certainly all of us live day to day. When it comes down to it, anything could happen, but a lifetime for one or the other of you. Commitment. So you want to make sure that it's one that is gonna grow and start off the very best it can. So a little bit of a rant there, but yeah, animals are those signs of affection, of settling down, and are a good way to kind of gauge your readiness for some of those bigger responsibilities of adulthood. So there we go. I love just talking about dogs, and I can't wait till I'm next at a spot in my life where a pooch is appropriate and would fit into my lifestyle. It's one of the things in the pandemic that I've really thought about, and as I've said, one of the reasons I currently don't is in my current home. they say, you're welcome to have pets. It's a very pet friendly community, but due to the additional wear and tear and all the rest of it, they do say, you got a extra damage deposit. That's no big deal, but you also have to pay a pet rent, and when you add that into the existing rent, which in the Denver market is pretty significant these days, adding in a pet becomes very prohibitive when you've either already got to have a pet or really want to have a pet to justify that. And I've talked in the past about valuation of cutting edge technology on your computer. Do you need it for the games that you're doing and what you're working on? All those kind of things are relevant, but yeah, with the pandemic, it would have been in one ways a great time to have a puppy. You got lots of spare time on your hands. For me, largely alone, which I don't have any issue with. I love reading and all kinds of hobbies and projects. So as I've said, it's kind of been like a a vacation in a lot of ways. Being sequestered, in the early days when you were kind of just hanging out for weeks at a time and really not even socializing with your close friends, and since enjoying those on a weekly basis, catching up with people and some of your less close friends, making that a special occasion has been nice. But it would have been perfect time to have that bonding. You can do a lot of training of a young dog and really reinforce a lot of that kind of stuff. So in that way, it would have been a great time to do it. But yeah, just tough. An apartment where you don't have a yard, as I've talked about, is one thing. I don't really want the side of every time the dog has to go to the bathroom, especially for housebreaking purposes, that you have to take them on a walk with a leash. I've grown up always having yards, and for me, yeah, the dog can just go to the door and tell you when it needs to go out. You can let them out and let them back in again when they go. So we'll see, but not anything that I'm planning on doing here in the immediate future. But I still love the dogs, and what were I know we talked about the dogs busting in on board games. We kind of got into that, but how ever do we end up in these various topics of conversation? Oh, one of my friend's dogs. That was, yeah. I don't know if I ever finished it, but we're walking along this forest, either off-road or ATV type track through rocks and hilly terrain. This is not quite rock crawling, but definitely off-road driving. You got to have a lifted truck and all that kind of stuff to get back into these areas, and well equipped for all that kind of stuff. It was exactly where we wanted to be, but we're camping and we're just walking back along this trail, and the dog kind of detours off the road on an outcrop, and it's just kind of minding its own business. You don't need leashes when you're out in the middle of the woods if you got a dog that will come when called. And we're walking along it, all of a sudden he's kind of looking down at us from this boulder that he's kind of gone on the soft edge and he's standing up above our heads, in that kind of that doggy way, grinning at you like, hey, look at me, I'm taller than you are. So so there we are chilling, and we kind of head off, and it's like, my friend's talking back to his dog. He's like, hey man, you gotta go around, come on back, you gotta keep up with us. And the dog just out of nowhere leaps, from above our head height off this rock down to the road below, and without missing a beat. It's just like, yeah, what do you think about that? You think I'm gonna detour all the way back around? Now let's keep going on this road. I'm ready. Funniest thing I've ever seen, and we're kind of in that no slow motion, like this dog is about to hurt itself. Just I don't know, maybe it was 8-10 feet of total drop, but as a person, you wouldn't have just jumped off this rock. And the dog is just like, I'm good. We'll see what happens, and that's that's another part of dog ownership. Hang on, that we've got to look out for when we take on that responsibility is that they sometimes don't know. That same dog once in a similar off-roading, kind of in one of the various, as I say truck because they're usually the chassis, and that's what I'm talking about when off-roading, but SUV, type lifted trucks, driving along a forest road with the windows down, the dog in the back, and thick evergreen forested type road as we're going along, and we kind of get to a narrow point and you got to go slow, right? These rocks and things, you can't just 5 miles an hour sometimes is a pretty good clip when you're doing this, but we're moving along slowly and steadily, and out of nowhere, a squirrel just feet away on the branch of a tree starts its little chittering kind of deal. Straight away out of the moving vehicle, the dog out the back, a back window, so not even as big as a front window of a car, just gone out the window of the moving car as we're going after the squirrel into the the branches of a pine tree that it belatedly apparently realizes is really it was already what was that, 4.5 feet or something off the ground of the truck, but it was also on a mountain road, and as you guys see in Minecraft or anywhere else, if you live in hilly country, usually as a road climbs along a hillside, it goes diagonally. If that's the road, it starts over here and it kind of goes up like that, and you cut it into the side of the road. So you cut down on this side, and on this side it falls away, and you make it wide enough for a person, for a footpath or a vehicle or whatever, but you end up with tailings on this side and a cut on this side, and that's what gives you the space to have a road. So we're we're driving along this way. The dog is in the back seat of a car. Here we go. Woo! And there's trees here, and the squirrel's in a branch at window height right here. Dog goes out after it. Well, that's a tree that has grown up from below road level, not he's not just looking at the dirt. So this dog thought it could fly, I guess, but man, dogs will keep you guessing and laughing all day long. And I know, there's cat people out there. I'd like cats too. I happen to be pretty allergic to them, as I've said, I think, but I like all animals really, but for me, if it's a pet, it's gonna be a dog. That's I think most people will. Some people just want one of everything, but some people are definitely have that affinity to the personality and attitudes of cats, the independence and kind of. Yeah, they want affection, and they're certainly receptive to it, but they will do it on their terms, and that works. I love the kind of just ongoing playfulness and affection of dogs. Just I think there's a part in all of us that helps get filled in by having animals in our lives. And I'm saying all this, I didn't even bring Salty along for our sand trip here. We'll have lots of them, lots of opportunities. What I'm really trying to do here, let's get up pets. I hope you all love pets too. If you got any, share stories or types or whatever in the comments. It's cool. But if when we come back, as we will be many times, we'll bring Salty along so he gets to enjoy. But what I'm really trying to do here, the sand will be great. We can use sand for a lot of things. Obviously, cooking it for glass. Concrete we've talked about. Although we're still a little ways off from concrete, but maybe we can incorporate some more of that into our builds here. But we can also use raw sand to artificially make sandstone. But what we're really trying to do in today is take some of this down, and we're gonna, basically strip some of this off so we can get to a sandstone layer and start quarrying out actual sandstone. And that's what's gonna be our building material. And we'd talked about this a little bit. I haven't gone into as much detail in the previous video, but I like to keep the little bit of headland. We're going to be boating back and forth past here. We got our village friends over there, so we'll kind of push back that way as needed to get into that sandstone resource. But yeah, this one will largely just be filling our pockets up with sand, and then calling it good. But we will probably, when we get back home, consolidate some of this into sandstone as well. And you can cook sandstone to make it the smooth variety of smooth sandstone. And we'll probably incorporate some of each type as we get going here. But you can kind of see down below. See, this is not just sand. That's the actual stone. So we're making good progress, and we caught a little bit of it there. The sandstone, the raw variety, will have that more textured look, where the sides of it get a little more uniform as well. And I think, hopefully the progression of our building will coincide with the progression of our tools to where we have enough coal and stuff that, once we've gotten the low tiers courses of our fortification walls down with the kind of raw sandstone, then we would have coal and furnaces and all the rest of that stuff ready to go, where we could start turning those into the smooth sandstone. So, just like if you search on the web, or have gone to or looked at castles or fortresses or anything else, you can often see where the battlements are and things, that oftentimes the lowest levels will be either incorporated into natural stone, and then as you get up high, they were using more finishing, and usually the buildings inside whatever courtyard or kind of Bailey type area, depending on the style and all that. But those get done even more often, because it was nobility or royalty or whatever that were, in the case of castles, taking refuge there. They'd want to have accommodations that they could either entertain in and inspire, kind of, this is how rich I am and powerful. You wish you could be me. If they were received others as visits. Oftentimes back when travel was difficult. If you think in the kind of medieval type period that a lot of people consider for castles, journeys were hard, but a lot of the royal families were actually related, right? Because if you're the child of a king or queen, you're not going to just marry the one of several hundred peasants that are, the people that you actually see on any regular basis. Because even if you're royalty, you're not usually going far from home. Those you would be more traveled by far, have more opportunity to be than the average person. Most people never left their own or the surrounding villages that they grew up in. So, all those worlds were much more condensed. But, if you were royalty, then, yeah, you may have, I use England. It always comes to mind, and you guys have probably heard why, but, even going back to the Norman conquest, William the Conqueror, who I would assume a lot of folks have heard of, as he crossed the channel, from Brittany in northern France, and took his conquerors to claim, these British Isles. He then, because he was occupying, made a whole series of castles. Famously, the Tower of London also had a castle further up the Thames at Windsor, on the coast. Number of castles spread across that still, with many further generations and modifications as their purposes were adjusted, lived on and still, are visible to this day. Although they certainly wouldn't still serve any kind of a fortification style function. So again, we didn't come close to getting down to lots of exposed sandstone, but we made good progress. Lots of sand, which we will take back home now. So yeah, he as a conqueror, and at the head of what was a largely mobile army and designed for mobility, and armies, despite the difficulties of travel, they're designed to go places, go take on your neighbors, and through part brute force and part just corporal punishment if you didn't comply, drafted or otherwise obliged soldiers would deal with muddy or non-existent roads, and those that were mounted would ride, and those that were on foot would just march along. You just get through to wherever it was you were going, really by brute force. There wasn't much more to it. So yeah, there was a lot of that, but nobility, because they that was their group, right? They weren't gonna bend any bones about it or share the wealth, so to speak, with just anyone. So the royal families, by and large, were all related. They were going to. Now remember that this is going to be our ground level, and just kind of wondering if we need to bother with a bottom level. What I'm thinking is kind of as a half measure, we'll do the outer edge buried, not do the whole width, and then where we have gates or entryways or anything like that, or once we're building out, we can dig down and put in floors or other pieces as needed. So we'll just do 2 for now. That's what I wanted to do. This was. So yeah, the nobility would travel a little bit more. They I just did what I did to my dog. Oh man. They just they would maintain communication between families, and much later, I don't know all the interconnectedness of the various royal families of Europe. Certainly, I've never really studied it or bothered to look into it a whole lot, but they would maintain contact with their families. I think earlier we talked a little bit about Spain and Portugal and some of that. Those France and Spain were certainly back and forth, and their families were all related, and England and France largely, were trading back and forth and often came to war. But a lot of that was an extension that these had been offshoots of the same family that, or distant relatives coming out of same families that had, for because they were younger children, or the kings slash groups had power vacuums to fill. If you didn't have a male heir, then your brother's kids or somebody may go, hey, this is an opportunity. Let's improve our station in life. That kind of stuff. So lots of reasons for it, but by and large, the families would, visit and maintain and relation type stuff. They want to know particularly who's having kids, how old they are, general appearance, and as those kids are getting, kind of to pre-adolescent type ages, it's not that it mattered a whole lot, but it was, why don't we send you on kind of tours around and let you meet the families. And that would, if you happen to have I don't know if attractive in our modern sense even mattered so much. Certainly, look, nobody's ever not considered good-looking people versus not good-looking people, or had certainly changeable, but still present considerations of what was beautiful versus what was not. And famously, I think a lot of folks have heard, and you look back at art pre-industrially, certainly, and the women, Rubens as a painter was certainly known for it, that his women were voluptuous is one word, chunky is another. They were big girls, and that was not by accident. It was much more attractive than today, and I think we, even in the last 15, 20 years, we've come a long way. The people that are whether fit or not, if people have a positive self-image and are willing to share that, they no longer have to. They no longer completely get shut down. And while I think the fashion industry may pay homage to some of those moves, the highest paid models will continue to be, what the current perception of body image is that will sell the most kind of clothes. For now, at least, certainly that will remain, kind of fit, curvy and thin, but potentially with artificially augmented parts of your body that are deemed better when big, kind of stuff. But in years past, the more attractive was that you were well off enough to be big, because that meant you could eat a lot, unchecked, and you had the leisure to not move. If you're working in a field and crops are hit or miss on whether they're going to get you through the winter, then you're going to be a little more scarecrow looking, and that just tells people that, yeah, you come from a place where at least recently there hasn't been a lot of food, and as a result, if you're limited in what diet you have, you're going to get various effects of malnutrition. Maybe your teeth don't hold up quite as well. In an era before there was widespread sugar, there wasn't a lot of tooth decay. But if you're missing the nutritional elements, you don't have a lot of calcium, because maybe the cows that you do have stopped producing milk because they're not getting enough grain. All those things kind of feed into each other, and we don't have to go too deep down this rabbit hole. But yeah, in past eras, the same things that we consider beautiful or marks of beauty weren't necessarily identical. But anyway, these royal families, when they built castles, and this is maybe a record for as roundabout as we get. We're talking about our forts and what types of stone we use inside versus outside. When they built castles and they had a residence inside the secure walls, so one mark of prestige as your long distant relatives come on a maybe year-long or at least summer-long trip where they, say we're in England and they've come across the channel and they're going from noble to noble at these various locations. They maybe stay for a week or two at various places. They're introducing their children and they are evaluating the homes and circumstances that their distant relatives are living in, and they're saying, all right, well, here it looks like they have these high sturdy walls that look formidable. It doesn't appear that they've sat for 100 years without any kind of attention. They look to be well maintained, not haven't recently been burned or bombed, so maybe the people around here are pretty content. That's always a good sign. Those kind of things. So that's kind of what was going on and why you would invest heavily. Not only, obviously you don't want to get killed if the locals get upset with your leadership style, but also you want to make your home impressive and awe-inspiring for those that may come around. So here's the roughest of rough outlines of what we're kind of thinking. Just to break the subject, and I think that kind of brought it around. Again, I don't think I'm telling that to anybody that doesn't know. You would build nicer buildings than just the raw walls. The walls have to be strong, but they don't have to necessarily be beautiful. The beauty can be inside. When you get out of the carriage, you want the house to look nice, that people may stay in, your guests or otherwise. So this is kind of what a wall would be like, regardless of whether it's in a fortress or otherwise. You would build it where whatever large chunks of stone you quarry, you pull out of the ground and cut, blocks, and you have to transport those large. You would build one side and the other of those cut and fitted stones. And, this side wants to be, if anything, the smoothest possible so that no one can climb it, in an effort to assault. Later, some degree of curve, and we may look into that a little bit, but rounded shapes would be appealing. That you could hopefully, if somebody shoots a round cannonball at your, coastal fortress from a ship, if a cannonball comes straight in here, smack, all the energy is going to go right into the wall. If that wall is rounded, even a cannonball flying at very high speed, certainly it will it will do damage. But if it hits on an oblique angle, so that it's rounded, if it catches it, a lot of energy is going to be dissipated off to the side. So if that's the angle of our wall and a cannonball comes in, like a pool ball, really, yes, some of it's going to go into the fort, but the rest of it is going to split off, and then you would have to at least think about, do we have to angle this way and see, yeah, then you'll get a little bit more, but it's gonna split along the lengths of the walls as opposed to going right through the middle of it. So just just something to think about if you've never have before. If you get a chance to either look online or you're watching movies about castles and things like that, the implications there. So the next piece is we just get our very first footings down, and that's really so we're thinking here is that we're going to want something here, and on a front, we may even put a couple battery, just small ones here, or even up above, have an overhang, because if anything was to attack the front of a real world fortress, you want to have angles where you're still elevated and protected, but you can defend the weak points. Obviously, gates are the weak points, right? They're where the battering rams are going to come up. You're going to try to smash whatever open and closable access point is to the place you're trying to get inside of. So this is clearly a target, and what even once we have the inside, these will extend a little bit because you would want to have elevated a kind of a tunnel or corridor of entrance that's even bigger than your walls, so that if somebody breaks the gate here, maybe then you have a portcullis. Those are the metal see-through type, not woven, but just metal bars horizontally and vertically that make a gate that can be lowered and dropped down and that would drop across the middle here. If you're under assault, somebody batters down the gate and gets here, then you can have archers, standing behind that portcullis shooting in, and up above, in an overpass, you might have some trapdoors where people could pour some heated up oil, or in places Greek type fire where you've got a burning liquid that would fall down and make it very difficult. Even just dropping stones or shooting arrows or pouring hot water type stuff. Any of that's going to make somebody, scream in agony rather than focusing on stopping your guys at the other side. So this became a very tough place to get through, and that's why so many places, when castles actually did fall, they fell when a wall got broken down instead. Hang on one second here with a sip. Thanks for understanding that. So, we'll talk about castles and forts and all that kind of stuff. We're definitely, at least in my mind, emulating a little less medieval. So maybe, not quite as much as this. The people may have had at least firearms in the sense of muskets and I don't know, those kinds of firearms, a little more modern than just bows and arrows kind of stuff. Let's pull this back just a bit. I'm kind of free-forming a guess at a small circle. Let's do here. Tree, you gotta go. Sorry, bud. Circles are there's two ways that I've kind of most worked on circle building in Minecraft. The first is if you just go out and Google circles in Minecraft or squares into circles kind of stuff, you can find circles of various diameters and just in images, and I've used those quite a bit with very good success for the bases of towers and beginning other kind of construction. Now this is going to get fairly beefy if we do it like this. First of all, I didn't follow the pattern very well. Second of all, way too big. So let's just do this. We're mirroring, and then this, 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 this. How's that doing for us? That would leave here, would be our three outside. And then we would have here and here. Here, 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 here. Did I do that right? I think so. So yeah, that would become a, if you want to have any functionality in some of these kind of things, they do quickly grow pretty big. I want to have a tower here with some water access to our boats, because obviously, as much as anything, we've come in and out of this little end. So some of that may become smooth sandstone quickly here, but this would be a tower that we could put a little restriction on access, but have some water coming into the bottom of it. Mossy cobble and things, very would be awesome for actually putting down below and in, showing that we got a quay. We can kind of do some of that around the outer edge here. But yeah, I think by having this, and then in some way, maybe, unfortunately, I kind of liked those trees, but I think they may have to ultimately go. Maybe we come across here, and that then maybe makes this redundant. It would get us in a little bit further to our base, but yeah, I see you coming over there, buddy. But we'd have, we can build out the access to inside here. We'd be coming into the tower. Now, reality is, from a historical real world perspective, this would be the better spot for the boats. Just as I said with the main entrance, I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but if I'm losing our shade, if this gate has towers on either side to help protect it, because it's a weak point, then it would make sense that you wouldn't put the water gate out to the most outward facing point where there's no other way to protect it once you're inside. Instead, you would look to secure that, put your gate here, and then you could defend it. If anybody tried to come up and get in, you can defend it from the towers. So yeah, I think something here. Now we may build this out a little bit to incorporate a hill here or something. This might be a base for a bigger tower where the actual wall comes out around the outside, and then something back over here. We can freeform a little bit of that. I'd like to just get this really first corner in with that side roughed out next, so that we kind of are bounded and good to go. And we may, as I said, this tree. Well, I think both these trees probably will go. Maybe we can go around this one. It could just sit in the corner. Because I'd like to maybe put an interior tower or something around this area so that we maintain that access. This would be outside. And then just kind of zigzag or something around that way. But I'd like to get enough of this so that we're kind of tucked back in a corner, and just with torches, we can feel a little more safe waking up in the mornings out in this area. But you guys feel free to chime in with any thoughts or ideas around this. But I do think we'll kind of look to change our habits on boating and make this our in and out point. So we'd come in here. This can kind of be a little boat unloading and loading zone. And yeah, I don't know. Just who's sounding all zombie? I hear ya. Must be underground. But yeah, I don't know. If we popped up something up higher there, and then just brought this back, kind of, maybe not attempting to enclose any of that water. Just wrap around a circle, around a towery area there, come back in, and then put a lighthouse-like tower or something out on this area eventually would be cool. So yeah, but I think what that tells me is we don't need to go way out of our way here. Yeah, I think 3 there and then curve back around is good. Let's just pop a torch here. Might as well gather up some of this stuff while we're going. I'm kind of losing track of time. It's one of the things with building. I'm not sure how much you guys, I know a lot of very successful YouTubers certainly will cut away, right? Where, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Here's, here I gotta go resources, and they'd show the boat ride over, and then they'd, go get some sand, and okay, now we got sandstone, and then they would, I don't know what all I got left. We got a 64. That seems like it's a cry for help. That may have been reckless with the torches that I do have, but all right, let's. Everywhere, a little scattered at the moment. Clean up some of this stuff. Deal with that. Morning. I don't want to get this too terribly late. Sand back in here. Sleep. Next, a little extension of the. Hang on 1 second. Let's check in time. I got loads of time. All the time in the world, my friends. I think next stop, though, is back down into the stairs. Let's push those. Oh, that was totally the wrong chest. Let's push those deeper. Say hi to Salty. Hey, Salty. You having fun down here? Yeah, I know I poked through there once while I was cutting down trees. So here we go, back down. We'll do just, maybe one more section just to keep our momentum going on all these various projects. And we still haven't even, really started in on the dirt moving to prepare fields. I haven't forgotten that. We'll get to it, but we have so much food right now with all the bread that we found in the various villages without doing anything more. We've got, varying amounts of pork and fish, and I think we ate up all the mutton that we'd had, but we even have some golden carrots that we, could use in a pinch. So lots of stuff. We're going to get some gravel out of here, and just for my own sake, I think before we, once we get done with this stairs section, we'll go check the recipe on concrete, and make it so infrequently that I'm really unsure of how that it arranges or all that kind of stuff. I know you kind of make a powder and then you have to wet it, and there's some machinery and stuff involved there, but I think even if it's just on a limited basis, I'd like to use a little concrete in and around the fortress there. Concrete is something that goes all the way back to the construction the Romans were doing in some of their classical architecture. So it's certainly not new. And while we think of skyscrapers and cities of concrete and steel and all that as very modern sense, even on a very low scale basis, if you had access to lime, which is something that not the fruit, but limestone, the mineral, I guess that goes into limestone or makes limestone. That was something that you could mix, mortar and things like that. You're basically all dealing with variants of what ultimately is a material for the same purpose of having some liquid properties as you position or form it, put it into a mold, and then will set and not only harden but adhere. So it will maintain a shape. It will support other entities inside. So I don't think we're going out of any kind of style. Not that I ever worry too much about that in my builds. It's not like we're trying to be. It's Minecraft. We're not trying to be a historically sound model of a particular anything. We're just playing the game and enjoying it. Now, we are so far out from our stairs, but I think let's just face this wall. Should I pull this gravel too? Maybe. Seems to be a lot of it. And if we do any concrete, this is that was kind of how I got off on concrete. Would be nice to have. So let's just one torch saves a little time over just filling all that back in with cobble. So there we go. Now we don't have to do anything too particular with our ceiling here. Maybe we'll just level it out a bit. This is going to be a high ceiling by the time we we get carved down to actual staircase level there. The 5 keeps it all pretty uniform. That'll just make it go, but by clearing all of this, we're gonna get a lot more stone and access to stuff, but we'll definitely be able to look way up in the above our heads as we go down and get out this far. And it may, we hear sounds of a skeleton at the moment. By going so much further out just from our stairs, we may find a cave or a ravine. Who knows what could be awaiting us here. The good news is this is sparing us. There we go. And this is kind of handy, right? We at least get a more upper level look before we just completely get into the mix. So let's climb back up and gear ourselves up to see if we're ready to handle. We'll kind of let Salty off the leash. He can be a big help. Yeah, you ready? Come with me. Don't get stuck in a boat or lost or anything. I'm gonna need you. But before we head down there, let's. You guys are still cooking. It's one of the reasons I don't really like to get too involved in much of this stuff early, and will be something we'll have to deal with as we go, since we're kind of building and playing more consciously side by side here. We are going to be I think we need to have a shovel just in case. That one is so worn that, if down there we run into any additional gravel stuff, we're better prepared than not. All right, so let's leave our bread as a backup. I don't know that, we're going to do this right. Let's grab our apples. Let's grab our gold. Do all those. No. Wow, we still have... we got a lot of gold all of a sudden. All right, so that's 10 more apples. Let's get all those. We're not sitting on our gold for any reason. We don't need bling as much as we need salvation. So that's a huge bump. Then as our backup food, now that we don't have to worry about golden carrots, which I don't think are quite as good in a pure fighting scenario. So now we're ready. Come on, Salty. Let's go get some skellies. Yeah. What we don't really have is a great food source for him without having a whole lot of meat. Come on, dog. Get in here. I need you. And I don't want to fight down here and then find that we got Creeper that's waiting for us at the top. Oh my gosh. I went into all the detail of why I love dogs, because I see some terrible things about dogs when I'm playing this game. They drive me nuts. Come on, get in here. Get in. Down the stairs. Come on. He knows because we made him sit all that time. He's like, no way, man. Look, I gotta mark a bunch of trees. You realize how long I was being good inside? Well, this is fun. You can, if you got to take care of business, come down here and do it right on the skeletons. I don't mind. We'll clean it up if we have to, if we even come back. Now where are you? Don't just bark. There we go. I heard a little panting. I mean, you're close. Dude, dog, Salty. There you are. All right. Oh, Creeper. Now we don't want you to get blown up by the Creeper. You're not. Cats are great with creepers. You are not. Oh man. Oh. Like I said, dogs leave. They're awesome. They're a lot of fun, but man, do they leave a lot to be desired. So cat, if you get a pet cat, creepers are afraid of cats. That's kind of their ability. So again, unlike, any of these pets, when they're moving around and left to their own devices, they They endanger themselves. They endanger you. Wow. Was that the dog? Maybe he was doing that while we were wondering where he was. He was clearing the trail for us. That's awesome. Thanks, dude. So I'm just running, trying to throw down torches where I can first. Deal with the threats, and then, ooh, look at that, we're already down to redstone. Good, we're getting, again, that's not necessarily our stairs height, but it means we're not, there's a difference starting at sea level, or, whatever you want to call it, lake water level, and starting at, no. Man, I wish we had food for you, dude. I'm so worried. Go get the skeleton, dog. We may have to throw him some pork chop. Now I don't know where he is again. He and the skeleton ran off. Death battle ongoing. So this is good. As much as we want to get down and to our diamond level, getting access into a cave and being able to... Oh, I heard you gave a tough dog bark, and I bet you got that Come here. See how his tail goes back up? That's an indicator of his health. So when he's drooping his tail, that means he's gotten a little bit beat up. And with all those creepers, they won't heal on their own, just like us. So if you keep throwing them into combat, get him, oh, get him, oh yeah, tough growl, go get him. The other thing with dogs is you can have a whole pack of them, right? You can have multiples, and when you have they will seriously just plow through skeletons. It's kind of fun just to take them out in the evening and let them go. Watch them. Just they don't even need you to make contact. They'll just go one to the next, to the next, to the next, and you got a whole clear area. So definitely helps with this caving if we can keep them alive. Again, it's just the creepers become tough to manage when they're underfoot, so to speak. So you have to worry about hitting them with your own sword, them getting caught in the explosions. They don't just instinctively, which would be nice, run away. So where was it was back this way, I think. Kind of trying to rediscover the way home. It was up through here. Okay. Now, I think we've kind of reached the end of all this area. So that's our way home. We may, based on the zombie sounds, we may pop into some other caverns as we go. But let's start pulling what iron and coal we can, and then work our way back. And the other awesome thing about the dog is he'll at least help. Again, no help with creepers, total garbage with creepers, but he'll kind of help watch your back a little bit as you're doing some of this mining. You at least that was kind of the friendly bark, but sometimes you get that tough dog bark that we heard a couple times while he was fighting, or a growl. So if anything does kind of wander into the area, he'll give you a little more heads up that something may be coming. And again, I wouldn't trust that. As you've seen from me, plenty of ways to die down in here, but definitely good to, every little advantage you can get is one more way. So now we're hearing footsteps. That's they'll usually be a little closer when you hear the footsteps. And I keep kind of watching to see if we're gonna open up something above our heads here. My guess is that what we're hearing is above. You can use the captions. There's actually captioning in Minecraft for the deaf, the hearing disabled community. I'm not sure auditorially challenged. I don't know exactly what the preferred term is these days. If deaf is suddenly considered offensive. No offense, man. If you're hard of or unable to hear, no slight. It's just another. We all have various things that we have to deal with in our own lives, and that's just one of them for some people. So I'm thrilled that that Minecraft, not that that's a huge feat of coding, but they do go to the length of trying to figure out ways to make this game accessible for lots of people. I think, having never really been deaf, I don't know how I would react to that, but it would certainly, in hardcore Minecraft, I would think it would certainly add a huge degree of difficulty, even with the little indicator and the captions. It would be so tough to hear those or process them in real time while you're also trying to, just function out in the world. To note, those are signs of danger. At least to me, would seem to be an incredible challenge. Now, if you've become used to functioning in a world without relying on sound, then probably I'm guessing that the players who do play Minecraft without sound would just compensate as they would in the real world by using their other senses in this game sight more readily. So I would expect that people that couldn't hear, who if they get as much enjoyment, would just be much more prone to looking back over their shoulder and making sure that things hadn't changed. Let's just show it since we're talking about it. Options, I think. Accessibility. Show subtitles. And I don't feel that it's particularly cheaty. Now we'll have to. So there you go. It comes up over on that right hand side, and so it's going to just kind of scroll along what the various sounds are that you're having. So if you got used to relying on it, whether you could hear sounds in the game or not, it would help. The reason I even started talking about it is, and this is where some people consider it cheaty. When you have that, you get these little directional arrows, right? So we're saying there, the dog's footsteps or mine, any of your own sounds are going to be a little tough, for it to pin down, and may float a little bit. But let's see if we can get it to show above. I don't know, but I thought the little carrots would also go upward. Maybe not, though. Again, I don't use this a whole lot. I thought it would kind of indicate if you heard monster sounds and they were above you, that it would do that. But maybe it purely is just the cardinal directions. But it's still, when you're underground and you hear that there's monsters somewhere behind a wall, it gives you an idea of which direction to mine to access that chamber or cavern, wherever they may be. So, not something I really like to have on my screen. I think it's just a little bit distracting. We hear the sounds, we've got them, and we'll leave them as is. But it's something to be aware is there. Again, I think it's, one of the awesome things about technology is how much opportunities that in the past wouldn't have even been feasible for people who may not be able to hear or may not be able to see, or those kinds of life realities now don't mean that you can't play this particular game. It's it may be slightly different, but there's all kinds of things that factor into our experience that make them difficult. Your skill may make it slightly different, totally independent of anything else. So far we haven't done a whole lot in the end or nether in hardcore Minecraft, more because of skill than anything else, right? We just keep dying. So those are all factors that come into play. And this gravel is just sucking me in. I don't know why. We're gonna end up with just stacks and stacks of it. So I hope we use it. It does. I don't know if I've talked about it too much. Gravel does have two real good consumable uses. The first, of course, is concrete, as we talked about, and the other, some people may be saying the first is not concrete. The first is TNT. When you mix gunpowder and gravel, you can make TNT. So that can, I don't honestly. I don't use it a ton. The most I use it for is some netherite mining. It can be fun to blast out chambers down in the nether and see. I think it's a little bit self-trolly. It gets so messy with all the lava falls and everything. I've really found what I think is my best netherite technique that will get to, if you find the right conditions and biome, to just quickly try to find as much as possible. But getting out of here and then determining which way had we come from, when you gut out all the gravel like that, gets a little more interesting. I don't think, if we're gonna leave a torch, let's put it in the place where it needs it. I hope everybody's clear on the subtitles. I'm done. That's something. I think it's cool. It's there. Just I don't like all that extra, just constant movement. Again, if you feel it's cheating, certainly don't use it to locate. I typically don't, but I'm not saying I'm not open to occasionally. If I've been down and I'm just punching in various directions, trying to find where a sound is coming from, I'll sometimes use it just to stop a huge unnecessary time suck. When I'm recording wearing a headset, it becomes even less of a deal. The directional sound when you have two side channels of a headphone make it much more readily apparent which direction the sound is coming from than when you're just working out of a PC speaker. And speakers, it really varies. Usually those have more distinct channels and separate speakers, so you can sometimes get a better feel for which way something lies. But depends on how you have those arranged and where they are. I've had some PCs, and usually I don't go out of my way to add fancy speakers or anything. I've had the same detached ones for a while now, and comes with a little subwoofery kind of thing. And then two side channel speakers. So you try to arrange those a little bit, but even those never really, I feel, give a clear indication of where a sound is emerging from and which direction to go. Not nearly as clearly as the headphones do. When it's right in your ears, you kind of get the sense. So if before we start into this iron, let's take a look at our inventory. We haven't filled up too much even with the gravel, which is nice. One sec. Definitely right to grab the extra shovel though. Got enough room for those to combine. So yeah, we'll probably wrap up as we finish gathering these things. I think that's the way back to our stairs. So let's come this way. Finish out, the extent of this chamber. This was where we found the experience from the skeleton the dog had taken care of. And just a couple little pockets here, then we'll finish up. Now I think there's another unexplored wing going down to, as we were coming down the stairs, it was kind of off to the left and downward that we didn't even go into. So when we get back to the stairs after we, I think one, our pockets will be pretty full. Two, we may be lower on tools. We'll kind of go back up, check the episode time, and see that one may be our next episode's excursion. But this has been a great cap to what I kind of think have been a good both sides of the episode. We started off with that quicker than expected treasure map adventure. It ended up being really close to home. Let's just go ahead and knock these out. Kind of always something I feel I almost have to do when there's just that one section you have to hop over. Oh, they're wet. They're clean diamonds. That is the highlight. Hey, buddy. I'm going to take some diamonds. So as you saw there, the dog doesn't even really care that we were fighting a zombie. He's not going to do anything on those, just the skeletons. Yeah, so a couple things just, back to back there. All secondary to that little wonder. I like to level out. I don't overly modify caves when I can help it, but I do. If there's a one wide thing that you have to jump over, even if you don't think you're going to be going back over it too often, just I clean those up to not having to jump up and then just step back down off a single block multiple times. Seems like good use of time to me. So here we go, already in the cave, good to go. I'm going to get a whole fresh axe here. I know you want to stand right on them. You're excited too. This time, having learned our lesson from the last, and I haven't heard any sound, so this is... And I almost thought I heard one. But sounds are not, having dropped one diamond. Unfortunately, it's just a first little taste, right? We didn't get a full double layer stack, but that's okay. Any is good. So yeah, we're right down already at level 16 here, so we don't have to do a whole lot more excavation to get all the way down. That's awesome. Never intended that we would really conclude most of our stair excavation part. Obviously that's a never-ending project. You can always be expanding your lower levels and adding more space, getting more stone. diamonds are always good, and finding slime chunks, all that. So many good reasons to do that. But I think we'll just chill here and not even empty our pockets, because I have a feeling. Oh, look at that, 154.30. So perfect. I do think we're gonna call it quits right here. We'll save it while you guys are with me. Conventional. I assume that one got added around one of the Minecons. And I don't know. Has there been any Minecon news? Are they planning to do live Minecons at all? I know that's a thing. I know mainly because that's when the updates on the game come out. That's when things come. But having discovered this game as an adult and never really been a content producer and not expecting to ever reach that kind of level, I don't think I would ever really be too drawn to a Minecon. Look, they're set up for a certain segment of the Minecraft community, and to the extent that they continue those, good for them. I hope that's something that goes. Certainly the Comic-Cons and all those aren't going away. I think there's a continued appeal, and much like wrestling, professional wrestling in the United States here, and some of those kind of things, there's an ever-present appeal. You may go through a period where you kind of outgrow, and the majesty of it, goes away. You kind of understand what the racket is. It's not a racket. I don't mean that, but the showmanship of wrestling. You only have to see it so many times before you kind of know. Like, oh, hey, SmackDown. I wonder what's gonna happen on that. You outgrow it, and I think it's okay to outgrow a lot of those kind of things too. Even I know that there's some platform conventions too, where the actual creators will gather. I think for people my age, those just have a pretty limited appeal. It's one of those things. I've been in the corporate world and gone to plenty of conventions. I already know what's there. For someone who's never done it, or it's a perk, or or you haven't done a lot of traveling and that kind of stuff. It's being treated like a VIP, and it's awesome. For other people, you kind of understand. All right, I know what to expect out of this, and I'm not probably going to be blown away. So, totally random, conventional. They got that off. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. This was a fun one. I'm glad I stuck around for a second. It looks even brighter outside now. I hope the temps have gone up, and I hope to go forget about video games for a little while now. And we'll see you when I see you. This one, when it loads, and I'll start it up here before I go out today, we'll probably wrap up or be scheduled to go out sometime tomorrow. I think the last one was queued for midnight tomorrow morning. So this will kind of push us out through the weekend, and then anything else that I record will be a bonus. But I'm finding diamonds, all the beginning of the building stuff. That's all got me going. I'm kind of excited to get back into it. So it may be a late night or an early morning tomorrow or something that I'll try again. But we'll get more up there for you. I'm not going anywhere. So spread the word, hit a like, leave a comment. But hope you keep coming back and enjoying. Let me know if you do. Until next time, take care. Bye now.